Note the disclaimer. Also, remember, my Patreon supporters get to see preview images, work in progress shots, and high-resolution images of the completed toys. If you want to join them, all you gotta do is donate even the smallest amount. Link in the description below. And yes, we still do the minifigure thing. Alright folks, this is a commission for Awkwardnerd, Jolt, who I'm presuming is a cat, because that's a very cat-looking character. Now, Awkwardnerd was only going to commission one character, Violet, and initially I thought that I would need to combine parts from a Shadow and Silver figure to make her. But then it turned out that I was able to make Violet pretty much entirely from the Silver, with just a couple of pieces I had in my fodder bin. So that left the Shadow left over. So I asked, instead of having the Shadow sent back unmodified, if she'd like to get another character. And I got this, Jolt the cat. So we start with the Shadow figure that was sent to me, and dismantle it. Yep, it would just be pretty much this Shadow figure being used without any other parts from other figures. Now, Awkwardnerd was thoughtful enough to provide this extra reference image of just the character's head, mostly to show how that mullet thing works, you know, with all those, I guess I'm gonna call them dreads? Yeah, dreads sounds like a good thing to apply. Showing how the layers and stuff work. So first, of course, came the sculpting part of the head. Cutting off all of Shadow's spines, and then sculpting on the more traditional hair points. There's a couple of sideburns, a smaller nose, and 3 big hair points that come out the back of the head. Maybe I should have done them coming out a little bit farther, but I didn't want them to impede the shoulders, so I erred more on the swept back form. So the mullet itself, the dread mullet, is actually made out of 3 pieces of craft foam, cut into these different shapes here. One for the top, one for the middle, and one for the bottom. Once painted up, I attached them to the back of the head, which I also painted. And as you can see, it actually does a pretty good job of replicating the reference. And I wanted to make sure that this went in such a way that wouldn't interfere with motion of the arms or the tail, which, by the way, is sculpted on from epoxy onto Shadow's tail, after his spines are cut off, of course. Painted up, this was a relatively simple paint job. He's mostly this really light orange, almost skin tone color with orange and yellow highlights. Yellow taking a lot of coats to make look good, but otherwise pretty good. The hands just have a thing sculpted onto the back of the gloves, otherwise they're just repaints, and there's a little bit of sculpting onto Shadow's shoes to make them look less soap shoey and, you know, to have the proper lines and stripes, and again repainted to match the colors. So with all the parts assembled, let's assemble Jolt and see how he looks in, you know, complete. And so here he is! You know, every time I look at his shoes, I think of bees, like honeybees. I think it's because of the yellow and brown stripings. It just looks like he stuck his feet into a couple of big old bumblebees. I just find that funny. But yeah, the character itself is pretty good looking. The mullet, as I like to call it, is very similar to the mullet that I made for my Wolf Link figure. So, you know, every time I make a personal custom project, remember, I'm not just delaying the commissions that are due, but I'm actually practicing new techniques so that I can make the actual commission figures look even better. Like, imagine if I hadn't come up with the idea to make a craft foam mullet. This figure would have been much more difficult, and I probably would have seen that hair and said, nope. But nope, I had practiced making foam mullets, and so there we go. Alright, thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully I have something real special for you in a few days, and I will catch you guys next time.